Welcome to Unpacking. My name is Lerny Lomotey. On Unpacking this morning, I'm going to be talking to Nana Fredua Agyeman Jnr, who is a writer and a poet and also a spoken word artist. We'll start by finding out from him what the difference is, because all the time people mix, I'm a poet, I'm a spoken word artist, all of that, right? So would have that conversation now. Nana, you're welcome. First, please, let's just clear it. For those who may not know what the difference between a poet and, a spoken word artist is, please, what is it?
Thank you very much, Lenny, for having me this morning. Basically, let's not overthink it. It's simple, pretty much simple. Mm-hmm. The quintessential definition of a poet, right?
Yeah, I started.
Is one who actually conveys their emotions, their deep emotions, through rhyme, rhythm, and sound. Mm-hmm. That is it. So the basic meaning of a poet, as we know it, are those who actually write for the page. Mm-hmm. However, as time has evolved, we've added spoken word poetry. That's the performance of it. So basically, if poetry is performed on the stage, it becomes a spoken word poetry, basically. Artist. So for the page, it's poetry, basically. A poet, that is it. Simplicity. Okay. And a spoken word artist goes on to perform their material.
But you do both, and you do both so well, to the extent that one of your spoken word or your poetry albums was considered for, Grammy nomination. That is huge. That is really huge. But before all of this started, right, who is Nana Fredua Agyeman Jnr?
So Nana Fredua Agyeman Jnr. is an inquisitorial young man.
Nana, please, you want our viewers to pick their dictionary this morning, because what's going on?
I'm actually taking inspiration from the
inquisitive. It's fine.
So I'm an inquisitive young man, who likes to probe, and also I'm a seeker of knowledge. Basically, that's it. And so I'm expressive as well. So that's led me to my creative space. Okay. My current creative space. Actually.
How was growing up for you like? Did you have that environment to thrive as an inquisitive person? Questions that are asked are answered. You probing, doing your own, research, all of that. How was it like for you?
Yes, so growing up in a household that actually allows you to be expressive. Share your thoughts and whatever you're going through. Yeah, definitely. It actually afforded me the opportunity to build on my curiosity.
Your curiosity.
Exactly. So, yeah, sure. My father was a journalist.
Oh, what was his name?
And Nana Fredua Agyeman.
Okay.
Senior, exactly.
Okay. Senior.
Yes.
Okay.
And my mom as well, Janet Japan. That's my mom's lineage. Basically, they are mostly orators as well.
Okay.
Linguists, writers, there are, poets in there.
It's safe to say that it runs in the family.
And my mom's clan is the Aguna clan.
Okay.
And I taught him is a parrot. Yeah. So we have a penchant for talking, actually. So if you take anything, any job related to oratory, you are likely to thrive. However, you need to hone your craft.
Of
it doesn't
course.
mean
it doesn't come by magic.
It doesn't come by magic, that because by virtue of the fact that we have that skill set. Yeah, it's inherent, it's innate, but you need to actually sharpen it as well.
Okay. Yeah. Now, in sharpening, your craft, when did you pick the craft to even say that, I actually want to pursue a career in writing, in poetry, and then in spoken word artistry?
So that stemmed from my meeting or my interaction with hip hop. I was actually introduced to poetry through hip hop.
Okay.
And specifically rap. So yeah, and definitely that there is a lot of poetry in rap.
A lot.
A lot. In fact,
unfortunately,
to the extent that the acronym actually, some people refer to it as rhythmic African poetry.
Yes, unfortunately, I have said it, a few times. I really don't hear anything when the rappers are at it. When they are at their game, I really don't. All I hear, I honestly don't hear anything.
That is a good one, actually. To add up to what you're saying, recently, I actually explained that So the essence of my poetry is to bring to the fore the lyricism, the lyrics. You get a point?
Yeah.
Or basically the words. I need to bring to the fore so that people pay attention to the words than the rhythm. Of course, there are other facets of
that come together.
That come together of it, exactly. But mine is to actually pay attention to the lyrics. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I understand when you say you are paying attention, because I don't know, I'm yet to see somebody put their poetry in, albums, right?
Yeah.
You've done that for the 2 albums that you've released so far. The first one, Ponder, and then the recent one, Wonder. What's the next one going to be?
Your guess as good as mine. Hopefully, let's keep that. Yes,
because I'm getting like a rhyme, scheme, yes. Ponder, Wonder.
I mean, I had planned my first 3 albums, so I can say that, yeah, but let's leave it for now.
Okay, so you're not going to mention what that is.
Definitely.
We await. But for Ponder, which was, your very first, that's what got, the Grammy consideration. How did that come about? How did you feel, knowing that you are in Ghana, doing your own thing, and then your poetry album has been considered, for nomination. What was the positioning for your brand as well?
It was actually surreal, but most importantly, it was actually a moment. It was also humbling, and I believe in timing. I'm a firm believer in timing, and I was just at the right place at the right time, if I may put it. I'm a huge fan of J. Ivy, right?
Okay.
J. Ivy, yes.
Who's J. Ivy?
J. Ivy is a spoken word artist.
Okay.
And slash rapper.
Okay.
And anybody for the hip hop heads, I can see Cyril nodding. Yeah. So J. Ivy was featured on. He's been a poet from the Def Jam poetry scene back in the day, over 15 years, 20 years counting, and he's currently the winner of the spoken word poetry album of the year, 2-time winner of that category. Anyway.
Very soon, yes. It'll be you.
Hopefully. Anyway, so I followed JIV on Instagram. At the time I followed him, he had put out a communique that by grace, whichever way, gracefully or graciously, the Academy had heeded to the poet's petition and had created a new category, a distinct category for the spoken word artists. Because since 1959, right, there is the spoken word album of the year, but that category encapsulates audiobooks, documentaries, narrations, storytelling, and poetry itself.
Right.
So the category is very saturated. It's saturated, exactly. So the poets made a case that, please separate poetry, spoken word poetry, from all these other art forms. And the Academy heeded to that. So they created a best spoken word poetry album. And, as typical of every award scheme, the inception, right, they actually backdated. So they said all those who had released albums 5 years prior, but they capped it 5 years because, of course, they can't open it, they can't leave it ajar, exactly. So 5 years prior to that were eligible to submit their works. And I released Ponder in 2021. I said, all right, I have an album out there already. So I quickly asked him how I could submit my works. And he said, of course, he gave me the direction. I started submitting my works, and he helped me do that because he's a member of the board as well. And he's a trustee now. Yeah, and so with the Grammys, it's technical. You cannot submit your works just like that. You need to submit it through a member of the board. And he did that, that direction for me. I did that. Nice. And lo and behold, that year, the inaugural, submissions, we had 81. Ooh. The whole world, 81 entries, of which Ponder was a part.
That's nice. Yes. That's nice. That's, baby steps, but it's a significant baby step, very significant. But what's the relationship between you and Ivy now?
Ivy, we are, cordial. I would say we are very good, acquaintances.
Okay.
So we communicate as and when, he's a busy man, clearly. I was actually, wanting to put him on Wonder, but he was busily releasing his album, which eventually won the Grammys, recent Grammys,
Nice.
So in the near future, definitely we'll do something. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
He was in Ghana, I think, some years ago.
Well, then it's really closer than we think. Sure. But talking about collaborations, you've collaborated with David Donton and Kwame Osei-Sapong, Yao Stone as well, on some of your bodies of work. So how did that play out? How did that even come about, first of all? And then getting an icon, as big as David Donton, That's a big deal. Yeah. So just run us through, all of the collaborations.
So with Ponder, I worked on it solely. I solely worked on it. No featuring on Ponder, but on Wonder is sonically advanced. And last year was the 50th anniversary of hip hop.
Yeah.
And that being my my foundational genre, if I may put it.
Oh, so you did it for the culture.
For the culture, exactly. Yeah. So I actually have about 4 records, which have an infuse of a fusion of hip hop or rap and spoken word, poetry. And I also explored with other genres, like high life with Yao Stone. He's a high life guy, exactly. So it was spoken word high life. You get me? And and you have the hardcore spoken word poetry, like with Mr. Davidonto, the indefatigable Davidonto, as I call him, refer to him. So basically, I approached Uncle David, as I call him, to feature him, to work with him on this poetry album. And he said he said he's always been writing poetry for the longest time. However, he hadn't had the opportunity to explore his poetic side. You get a point. Even though he had done that on stage, by his stage escapades and in movies, but he hadn't had the opportunity to actually explore his own poetry. But he had a ton of material.
Okay.
So I actually reached out to him and I pitched this idea, Sense for Sale. And he said, interesting title.
Sense for Sale.
Sense for Sale. That's the title of the record we did. Okay. And he said, okay, so if definitely we are selling something, Sense for Sale, then there should be a buyer, there should be a seller.
Definitely.
So he took one part and I took the other part. So if you listen to the record, Sense for Sale, he actually comes from the point of, buying. People buying into, doctrine and dogma. You get it? Without, logical reasoning. And I went from the side of, seller.
Selling.
Yeah, selling. And I also featured T. Monterisi, a UK-based multidisciplinary artist.
Okay.
Yes, on Hodgepodge. Yes, and I also worked with Nokus. You know, Nokus has a beautiful baritone voice, right?
Exactly. Right.
So I thought of, putting him somewhere in there. I was thinking, and I thought about doing an outro.
Please, when are the women featuring as well?
Next album, I want to do an all-female album.
It has to be.
Seriously, next album, trust me.
It has to be. So we are waiting on that. 2 things you are going to be waiting on: title of the album, and then also, having women feature on there as well, right? Yes. But you're a 3-time winner of, the Kofi Anyedoho spoken word category for the Ghana Association of Writers Awards, right?
Yes.
It's a big deal.
Huge.
That's a big deal. So, to win 3 times, I'm sure to win once, it's good, but 3 times means that you've solidified, your place, in that association as well, with identity, right? And then also with the positioning that you have. How are you bringing aboard other young, aspiring writers and poets?
So I have plans, right, to actually start to imbibe the poetry and writing skills in the next generation, definitely. Okay. And I want to start from the basic level. So yes, I have that in mind, definitely. I'll do that. I haven't started it. I'm someone who wants to do things right. And sometimes it takes a while, that, to get it right. But yeah, it will definitely happen. It will materialize at the right time. I'm a firm believer in time, as I mentioned. Yeah. So I believe in the right thing done at the right time. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, are you fully into, spoken word artistry and poetry and writing, or is there something else that, you're juggling at the moment as well?
Yes, I mean, to full-time spoken word poetry and artistry and writing, media consultancy. And yes, I've delved deep into it. I'm deep in it now. You get it, better late than never, because of course the school had to give way for it, and definitely now I'm doing it like full time. Okay. With all guns blazing, yeah.
All guns blazing. Do you know why I'm asking? Because my thoughts are, in Ghana, do we have, a thriving space for, full-time poetry and spoken word?
And writing as well.
And writing.
So my writing is broad. I write, from articles. I do, I screenplay as well, movie screenplays.
Okay.
Yeah, I was recently having a conversation with Mr. Kofi Jnr.
Okay.
The director of The Talk. Yeah.
Yeah, he was here last week.
Yeah, apparently,
yeah. He was here
So
last
we have plans of doing something as well. So yeah, so the writing is broad. I do a lot of writing, and I'm also working on my anthology as well and other books. It pays. The arts pays, so
the arts do pay.
It does pay.
But you see, we can say the arts pay, but when you bring it down to where we find ourselves, sometimes you can't exactly compare to other regions. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So that's why I'm asking whether you're doing it full
so
time.
again, how would it pay? It will pay if you brand yourself properly, right?
Right.
If you sell yourself, in an affluent manner, or definitely you're going to get your worth. If you sell yourself, with all due respect, for want of a better word, cheap. People are even going to they're going to bargain.
Right.
So I believe in branding and marketing. The marketing of what's the word? Any phenomenon.
Okay, now let's talk about themes and subject matter and all of that you explore, in your poetry. Are you skewed to, just certain topics, or do you have, an open mind to whatever you want to be discussing, in your poems? And then also in creating your albums, right? What are the considerations for you? Are you doing it by theme? Are you doing it by subject matter? Are you just doing it by emotion, or, by whatever is happening in the society at that particular time?
Yeah, so my works basically are thematic, if I may put it. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I'm working on an album, for instance, Ponder, it's a theme. It's thematic. So you find a pattern, a certain pattern run through it. Yeah. So you have hope, humanitarianism, the black awareness,
right?
And Ponder, basically. And if you listen to Wonder, which is, as I mentioned, sonically advanced, you have me exploring with other genres. However, it has a certain color, a certain theme that runs through it as well. So yeah, you have self-introspection, talks about it addresses rhetorics, like rhetorics that we've grown up knowing. There are certain things so many things actually we've grown up learning. It's high time for us to unlearn and relearn so many things. Yes.
Right.
So basically, you find that
in there as well
in my works, and also the unending issues confronting humanity. There's a lot to talk about. Lerny, you understand?
Definitely.
So yeah, day in, day out. I heard you, on the show, ranting about happiness in Ghana.
No, it's crazy.
It's absurd. So all these things, would want to make you right.
Right.
Definitely.
And I think that the arts afford, its consumers, and then also, the front runners, that opportunity to talk about or speak on anything and everything, in whatever art form that they are doing, whether it's music, movies, writing, poetry, and all of that. So that is really good. Now, you released Wonder in December 2023, right? Okay. What are your plans for this year? Are we getting another poetry album? What is it looking like for you?
So Wonder is actually, it's barely 3 months. It's barely 3 months. So Wonder has some time to still do some wonders.
I like that.
So and it's doing some wonders actually. The reception is quite phenomenal. It's encouraging as well. Yeah, and no, this year, I'm not releasing an album this year. However, I'm working on the next album.
Okay.
This year, I've started working on it.
Okay, great.
And mind you, this year is also it's an election year, and so I wanted to what's the word? Simmer down, and
then
next year, definitely.
That's okay. That's fine. Where can we find the albums for those who would want to soak it in? Ponder and Wonder. Are these on DSPs, or do you have it on YouTube?
They are. Yes, they are on all major digital streaming platforms.
Okay.
On YouTube as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So you just enter Fredua Agyeman Jnr.
Okay.
Yes, JNR, a Wonder or Ponder. But Wonder is the current album. Clearly.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely. If you want, if you ponder, you wonder.
I'm looking forward to what the other, the third album is going to be.
Yeah.
But Nana Fredua, thank you so much, and all the best as well with the Wonder album that is still going, and then what other album you are working on at this moment, right? Go kill it. And then guys, let's go check it out on all streaming platforms and on YouTube as well. Just search Nana Fredua Agyeman Jnr. and then the titles of the album, Ponder, or wonder. This is Culture Daily. My name is Lerny Lomotey, your international radio and TV presenter living in Ghana at the moment.